funding back. If you got a Pell Grant, that's $10,000. If you got subsidized or unsubsidized federal loans, that's another $10,000. So that's $20,000, right? And Pell Grants you don't have to pay back for. So everyone in here is eligible for a Pell Grant. You want to choose an affordable school. Search the internet, decide your particular area. It might look like a community college, it might look like a four-year college, it might look like a certificate program, but search for yourself. And like I mentioned, the Pell Grants, use grants, and some of us will work when we go to school. So you want to prioritize yourself and predict your potential needs. So you're going to need a computer or a laptop, whether you might need some transportation. Now, a lot of institutions, schools, training programs are doing online work, right? Online work. Money for books and money for supplies. A lot of that comes in with the scholarship money and the grant money, so you really don't have to worry about that. You have to develop a network of people to help you navigate and answer your questions. You need to really be informed. Information is the key. If you're not informed about what you want to do, you can get into a program and kind of get lost in it and take credits and not get to your end goal. It's about time and money. And you want to have a support system that understands what you're about to get into and what you are doing. So that might consist of family and friends, and for some of us, significant others. So it's a really thought-out process. You're going to have to, we're talking about time management. You want to prioritize your time, figuring out your working hours. A great thing that I've been fortunate enough to work for a great organization, Oxford House, and I'm able to, do my work and also do school, because you have to prioritize. And you need to figure out how many hours of classwork you'll need to do to allot for each particular class. So what's really important is self-care. So working a job, dealing with family and friends, you can become overwhelmed. We all know about stress. So you have to really take time for yourself and practice stress management. For some of us, it might be mindfulness, it might be breathology, it might be travel and vacation. But you really have to take time for yourself, because you'll become overwhelmed. And before you know it, you'll be stressed out, you'll be suffering from anxiety, you'll be giving yourself all these other type of labels, depression, PTSD, all of that. So be careful about overloading yourself. I mentioned the different programs and courses of study. Like I said, there's certificate programs. Some are mentioned an AA degree, 2-year degree. A lot of colleges that you get the 2-year degree at, they'll funnel you into the program for the 4-year degree. And then you have your secondary postgraduate programs, Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Science, and PhD. So you can visit online for all these colleges and programs of study to get an idea of what's out there, and plans and goals for post-graduation. You want to think about the path of least resistance, going with what will serve you and is the easiest for you. What do you plan on doing when you get the degree once you've earned it, and what does the job market look like? So before I finish, I just want to say, when I came into Oxford House, I already had a degree. But before then, I was in dental school. I was in the College of Dentistry for 2 years. And I'm the only person I know that's been to dental school 3 times and haven't finished, right? But I'm saying that to say that you get up, you embrace who you are and your experiences, and you get through it. And I am each and every one of you, and it's just great to see so many people out here interested in going back to school, doing something different. Once the fog lifts and you're not under the mind and mood-altering substance, you'll be surprised about what you can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I'm so glad he touched on a few of those things. I was going to share a few resources that I found, because he was talking about scholarships and opportunities. So if you are a woman and you started school and you took a break for 2 years or more and you're interested in going back, I was able to receive a scholarship from the PEO International Organization. I'm now involved and becoming a member of it. And what they do is it is a women's organization that helps other women to achieve a higher education, and they provide scholarships. It could be up to $3,000 if you're returning back to school, which honestly helped a lot, and it's not money you have to pay back. But they also offer a low-interest loan with a fixed rate that's lower than, some of the grants out there, with a very great payment plan. So if you're a female, PEO International. Yeah, and if you Google that, it'll come up, and it's, there's a couple of different ones. And for those of you who have children who are female, they have a Rising Stars scholarship for women coming out of high school that want to go to college. They help pay for it, and then they also help pay for people who want to go back and get their doctorate. Also, if you don't have a laptop, every school in the country can do a one-time loan for you to purchase a laptop while you're in college. So if that's something that you think is going to be a barrier, there's an opportunity for you if you go talk to your school. And I didn't know that until I was sitting there, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do my classwork. I don't have access to a computer. And luckily, I had someone in that office that day who knew that this was an option. So on top of any loan or grant that you get to go back to school, if you need a laptop or computer, you can get another one time while you're in college. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing since Mark brought it up. My daughter works for the Department of Education, and she was the one that helped draft this student loan thing with President Biden. So she does a lot of webinars, and there's some information that you need to do by the end of October. So if y'all are interested in how you can access that student loan forgiveness program, that's my daughter.
Nice, yeah. That's awesome.
Contact me, and I'll get you in touch with Ashley. Okay.
And the last thing I wanted to touch on was, Mark was talking about building a self-care routine. I mentioned that I did my bachelor's and went directly into my master's while working for Oxford House, which if y'all know your outreach staff, you know how much that can entail in our lives. I made a commitment, no matter what, that I would never do anything related to school or work on Saturdays, that was always my day. I was taking 15-hour semesters while working for my master's degree, and I never once gave up my Saturday for anything that wasn't personal, and I still graduated with a 4.0. So make time for yourself. And, a really wise woman who helped me with my degree told me, it is okay to just get what you need out of it and move on. You don't have to get every single thing they're offering, and that's okay. And for me, a person in recovery that's a perfectionist and always wants to be at the top, it was very hard for a long time to remember that it was okay that I couldn't finish reading every single word in that chapter, and that maybe I just needed to ask for that extension once or twice because then I could get it done. And they have always worked with me. I was honest when I went to my professors, and I told them what I did, and I told them that I was in recovery, and when things came up, they made accommodations. It is okay to say that you have a disability when you go to school, and to tell them that you're in recovery and that sometimes you might need an extra day. They will work with you every single time. So, okay, I'm done. I'm going to introduce Ms. Cynthia Toohey. So she is the executive director of NADAC, the National Association of Addiction Professionals. Previously, she served as the executive director of the Dania Institute and the Central East Addiction Technology Transfer Center. Prior to this, she was the program director for Volunteers of America, Western Washington, serving homeless and persons with the co-occurrence of poverty and substance use and mental health disorders. In addition, for over 20 years, Cynthia has been the administrator of multi-county publicly funded alcohol drug prevention intervention treatment centers with services ranging from prenatal care to the serving of the elderly. She has been a trainer in domestic violence and anger management and conflict resolution for over 35 years. as well as an international, national, and state trainer in a variety of topics. Y'all, please welcome Miss Cynthia Tui. Thank you so much. I was going to read the whole thing and brag about you.
That is enough information. That is more than enough information. What is missing from that bio is I'm a person in recovery, and from not just drug, sexual abuse, physical abuse, malnutrition, and psychological abuse. And it's all of that that makes us who we are to go further, right? Because recovery is resiliency. Think about that. Recovery evidences your resiliency. Recovery from whatever it is that you're recovering from. We're all in recovery from something, whether we agree to that or not, right? We're all in recovery from something. So the more that you see your recovery as your resiliency, the more it will lift you up and help you through the next piece. So education is important. Education for me was important because my caseworkers, I was a foster child for 18 years, wore the court, lived in that system. My caseworker, my last caseworker, read my bio. She read my file. I had a pretty bad file because I grew up in Los Angeles. I started the first known girls gang when I was 11. I'm very organized. My probation officer didn't see that as a skill. I did. I saw that as a skill, and I knew I wanted to do something with it, but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to take the skills that I learned in addiction and in all the homes that I lived in and turn them into something that would help my life. Anybody ever feel that way? Yeah. It's like we have these things. Remember, these are part of your accomplishments. I was an accomplished jewelry stealer in Hollywood. I was accomplished, right? But what could I do with that accomplishment? How could I turn that for something positive? And education helped me to do that. It helped me to see that I was enough. I was enough. How many of you ever feel like you're not enough? Yeah, it's part of addiction. It's part of being left, abandonment. So our drugs of choice abandon us from feeling good about who we are or who we could be. And so think about that in terms of these tips I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share some tips with you. How many of you see yourself as resilient? Yes. Okay, good. Then we're on the same page. So you can define yourself by the things that you have accomplished in your past, and then as you go in your future, you can define yourself that way. So I want you to think about professional identity. Who do you want to be professionally? Professional identity is that image or that thing that you see yourself as to perform a job in your field. So the field I wanted to go into was social work. I wanted to help kids like me and families like mine. And then I wanted to go into addiction studies and do something with both of those things. So my professional identity now, not just a person in recovery, not just, it is more than just, right? So take that just away, all right? Think about that, not just. No, I am, and I am a social worker. I am an addiction specialist. I'm a mental health specialist. I'm a domestic violence specialist. I've been through all those things. And I'm a person in recovery. And I am a person in recovery. I am not an addict. I'm a person in recovery. Okay? Think about that in terms of how you identify yourself. Because your identification through your lifetime is going to be important. Right? So a distinct professional identity gives you, can be instrumental in building your career, right? It helps you to think about this. And it involves a mix of education. So you got to get the education. You got to get the professional training. And you got to have some personality. I know you people in here have personality, right? So use that personality. Use that personality to get you where you want to go. You can earn degrees. You can have professional certificates or certifications to demonstrate your knowledge, your credibility, and your expertise. So I was in Washington, D.C. yesterday at the White House, and what part of that was to talk about Recovery Month. And people said, well, who are you? And it's like, well, I am all these things. Yeah, that's all part of who I am. And I'm also a person with children and a person now with grandbabies. I love them, okay? And I'm grateful. So I'm also a person of gratitude. I'm also a person of gratitude. My recovery wouldn't be where it is today without gratitude. Do you wake up in the morning with gratitude? Do you go to bed at night with gratitude? It will serve you all your life. Personality creates distinction among people in their profession with similar backgrounds. We're all similar in here. What's going to define you a little bit differently? What's going to make you a little bit different? Think about that for yourself. What makes you different? When I came into being a social worker, when I went to college, I was brand new in recovery. My caseworker said I wasn't smart enough. You ever hear that? You're not smart enough. It's like, well, how smart do you have to be? How smart do you have to be? I survived LA. I'm pretty smart. I did not die on the street, right? What have you survived? What have you survived? Are you not smart enough? Yes, you are smart enough. And simply put, stand out from other applicants. So down the road, you want to stand out a little bit, be who you are. And through your education, work, and life experience, you have developed skills. You have developed knowledge. You have developed work behaviors. And some of these work behaviors that the panelists have already talked about, it's important to keep those in your brain because those will help you to complete whatever college education you're after. And that's really important. So I wanted to share some tips with you. You got to be deliberate about you. Being deliberate about you, getting to the deep side of you, because that can trip you up in your education. That can trip you up in your recovery. Building your own resiliency. Think of this word, causing. You're causing yourself to become who you want to become. You are causing it. You are propelling it. You are making it happen. It's a process. It takes time. It takes energy. And you know what? I got some great mentors along the way. So you want some buddies to mentor you. Oops, I'm ahead of myself, which is known to be true. So you got to believe in your ability and say that. I believe in my ability. I'm not perfect, but I believe in my ability. I wonder what I can do with that. And let's discover how I will grow. So just some ideas. There are 4 areas. Oh, that one. Okay, we're just going to talk about the 4 areas that helped me and you can help you to define more about your growth so that you stay on your path, whatever your path is going to be. If it's going to be more education, if it's going to be certificate programs, whatever it's going to be, think about your financial. What do you need to be in financial agreement with yourself? So do you need loans? Do you need a job? How much money do you need? What type of work do you want to do? How much money do you want to make in your lifetime? You know, these are things to consider. How do you manage your money? Now, I manage money pretty darn good. And I have since I was 11. Because I knew how to take that jewelry and turn it into what? Cash. Yeah. Hello. All right. However, that cash can give you some problems, right? In recovery. So you got to decide, do you need an accountability partner with your money? Okay, don't save it under your mattress. There's no interest there. Saving money, all of that. I'm going to go through this quickly. I am a little ADHD XYZ, so just bear with. Okay, physical and spatial, what is it that makes you comfortable? Now, a couple people talked about here. Stress management, getting comfortable. What are your expectations? So you can get all wrapped up in a sexual relationship and lose your education and recovery, right? Is that not true? All right, we talk sex, okay? That's just part of recovery. If you're not doing something physically to move that body and make it work, then that's going to be a problem down the road. Physical environment, making it comfortable, physical safety, and personal boundaries. I tell you, physical safety is real important. I know how to fight. I don't want to, but don't push me. Okay, social and emotional and social agreements. You want to set expectations for emotional support. Where are you getting your emotional support? Learning your own strengths and areas you need to grow in emotionally and socially. I was so bashful, you could look at me, I'd turn red. I'm still bashful. I'm still internally that way. But recovery and people and you all, you just bring it out. You know what I mean? Let other people help you bring that out. And your emotional agreements with yourself, how you love and support yourself, how you love others. So some of you may feel like I'm not good enough to be loved, so I'm just going to love others. Okay, start with that. Start with that. Love people. Just love them. Doesn't matter if they do what you want them to do. It's not all about you. It's not about all control. Just love them. That will come back to you because you're then growing your brain cells on empathy, and empathy creates ability to connect with people. It's the most important thing that you do is to connect with others in a positive way. So I'm going to move us forward, spiritual development and growth. Everybody has something spiritual inside them, whether they want to agree to that or not. And it's how you relate to that spiritual side that is important for you. I learned later in life, because I didn't grow up in my family of origin, that I'm Native American. I knew something was there. I didn't know what it was. You know, that connection with Mother Earth and that connection with Spirit. And through the years, I've been able to grow that and to learn the non-traditional side of spiritualism, right? So find yours, whatever that is for you. And once you decide on your agreements, write them down. These are my agreements with myself. Put them in a frame. Put them on your dresser. Put them somewhere. And let yourself look at those, because that will keep it in your brain, and you will make yourself, you will cause yourself to make that happen. So I'm going to end with healing, nurturing and healing yourself. I know there's a dance tonight. Go dance. Go listen to music. Write. Some of you are beginning writers or accomplished writers. Write, share, laugh, pray, meditate, and most of all, forgive yourself and others. Thank you so much. My phone? You're right there. Duh.
You know, I was sitting up here and listening, and I was thinking about how we all have our own pathway, right? So we all have our own pathway. I might have gotten an advanced degree. I'm married to someone who went to a trade school. That was his path, and he's amazing at it. You know, we're all up here talking about how you can go back to school, but I want everyone to remember that that doesn't have to look for you the way it did for any of us sitting up here. It's if you want to go to a trade school, oh my God, plumbers make so much money. It is insane, okay? Like my brother who's sitting up here in the front row went to the NASCAR Institute, and he's a really well-paid mechanic. I still won't let him fix my cars. Some relationships need boundaries, right? But I want y'all to hear that just because I went to a four-year university doesn't mean that that's everyone's path. And if someone's telling you otherwise, I want to tell you today, it is okay to define what school is for you and to follow your own path, right? I'm having to learn that as a mom to a 20-year-old who stopped going to college, moved to Europe, and is living as a nanny right now. I had to say, this is her path, and she gets to follow it. And she's coming back, and instead of going back to university, she's going to do a community college because it costs less and then transfer back to the university. At the end of the day, it will not matter where she went. It's all about what, you know, I've had people ask me about my career. I've never sat in a job interview and someone said, well, exactly which schools did you go to and what was your GPA and how did you do at those schools? That's not what it's about. It's about the life experience that we can offer. So that's my spiel on that. It came to mind. So, thanks. You don't have to clap, but okay. So the last presenter that we have that I want to introduce is going to share some on, personal inspiration and going back to school. Scott Cumming is a trial attorney. He's alumnus of McCartney Oxford House in Bend, Oregon, and a member of AA. Yes, Bend. One of my friends is from Bend too, or lived there for a while. During the time at the house, he was a house president, a chapter chair, and somewhere along the line, he learned a new way to live. Scott went back to get his law degree and is now a trial attorney, and that's exactly what he told me to say, so I'm going to let him to come up here and finish his story. Welcome to Scott.
Yeah, so by going back, yeah, it's more like crawling back because I failed out of college a lot for years. I had a terrible record. I actually gave up. I'd given up by the time I moved into Oxford House. It wasn't until about a year later that I even decided to try and go back to community college. And I was inspired actually by coming to the Oxford House World Convention because it was nearby that year. It was in Oregon. And yeah, I heard a bunch of stories, and Paul Malloy turned out was a lawyer, and Steve Poland is another lawyer. He talked about his story and how he got caught as a lawyer selling blow out of the Justice Department. And, somehow he still got barred, and I got my first felony when I was 18, so I always thought oh, that dream is gone, I think that's what I was meant to do. Ever since I was a kid, my teachers would say, "You're going to be a lawyer when you grow up," and yeah, turned out they were pretty on point, but I felt like there was no way I could ever do that. And then I heard, Steve and Paul at the World Convention, and I just came home and decided, well, I'm just going to try it, and if I fail again, then that's like, what's the difference between failing 10 times and failing 11 times? Right? So, started at community college, transferred to university, graduated top of my class, applied to law school. Yeah, and while I was there, I got my record expunged, showing a rehabilitation to the judge. Yeah. But then I was just super upset because I found out that I had to tell the law school anyway when I apply. And so I did, and then they accepted me, and they gave me a full ride scholarship. And I graduated top of my class from there, and this is crazy. I worked for a federal judge in federal court, passed the FBI background check. I mean, I passed it by being honest about it. I passed it, and it all checked out. But nobody told me that I could do any of that. And if I'd have asked, they probably would have told me I couldn't. And so, I don't know, but I make an educated guess that a lot of the people in here are probably either in school or thinking about going back to school. And probably, like I was, thinking about what you're still going to be allowed to do. So I came out here to give you the maybe reckless advice to not think about it like that. Just think about it in terms of what, if you have a calling, just pursue it. I mean, what kind of a recovery lets someone else tell you how much you can recover? And that's not to say that nobody's going to try and stop you. There's people out there who just don't like us. You know, I mean, for a lot of them, it's probably justified in some way. But really, that's never going to change until it's more people like us who are the gatekeepers. And because that's really what, I mean, makes us people to other people is knowing someone like us, and you know, just having that person to think of when they think of a person who's in recovery. So don't limit yourselves, and just put one foot in front of the other. And if you don't make it, but I bet you will, you know, we'll pick you back up. All right.
That one was really hard to follow up. It's like a mic drop on that. I do like what he's saying, though, guys, like honesty. I never once denied my recovery or my past. You know, I was a convicted felon as well, and it never stopped me. Now, I'm not saying it didn't create hurdles that I had to come over, but I can promise you they never stopped me. And it was all about making sure, like Scott's saying, I was just honest. You know, I had to write an entire personal essay to get back into school. I had to explain all the things that I'd done to the college. If I had left something out, I probably wouldn't have gotten accepted. And it was scary, and it sucks to have to get up there, and yeah, I just said sucks on camera. Hi, guys. To have to be honest with people who aren't in recovery sometimes. Because in this room, I know that I can stand up here and tell you I'm a convicted felon, and y'all are like, okay, whatever. But when I'm talking to the president of the social work school, and I'm trying to get them to let me back into college, I'm like, yeah, I'm a convicted felon. It's a little scarier, because, you know, normies don't always accept us as quickly as we accept each other. But I've yet to find someone that wouldn't give me a chance. So walk through the fear. I listened to a podcast one time that said, we tell ourselves 1,000 negative thoughts a day. And I was like, I don't do that, because I'm special and unique, right? And then I started realizing, oh my God, I do it all the time. My first thought is a negative thing, from looking in the mirror to analyzing how I look to the days I don't want to get out of bed. But if you can work on being aware of it and training yourself, you can walk through all those fears, and it does start to change. I might be at 999 today, but it does help a lot to be aware of it and walk through it. So I'm not going to keep chit-chatting. I'm going to, ask you guys to thank our panelists who have all been amazing today. And then I'm going to say, all of us are very willing to help someone answer questions. I'm not going to volunteer them, but I'm more than happy to give out my information if you want to follow up with me later on things that I've done to go back to school. I'm assuming a lot of them will feel the same way, but that's their personal choice. We do want to open up the floor to questions, so if you have questions, please. Okay, how do we do this? Is there a microphone, or just, you want me to? Oh. Yes, what's?
So my question is, I'm struggling. I haven't been to school in 20 years, but I'm struggling to retain a lot of the information that I'm having to that I'm reading doing school online. Do you guys have any pointers on what I need to do? Now, when I do read, I take notes vividly in the process of reading, but I'm still not able to retain when I have to take a quiz on Sundays. Do you have any pointers to help me out?
Who did online school? All right.
So for me, I'm an app person. I download a lot of apps that help. Quizlet helped me tremendously. But I also went back and highlighted through my book. Like, so I'm more of a audio person. I'm not good at retaining if I read it. If someone reads it to me, I retain better. So I downloaded an app that costs like maybe $30 for the year that reads the book to me. I scan the book in and it reads it to me. So like that really worked for me. Get with me after and I'll give you the Speechify. That's it.
Nice. Mark?
Also, excuse me, also A&T probably has a lot of resources that they provide for students with classes, that you should check into that. And then also, you might be doing a little too much. You can't read everything, so you have to be able to decipher what information is pertinent and what's relevant, you know. And a lot of times, the syllabus will define that for you, right?
Thank you.
I have 2 points, because I'm kind of an old-fashioned learner. I have ADHD, so I need study cards. I make study cards that help me, and then study groups. So just being with people, talking it through, you know, remembering, oh, yeah. So those are other ideas.
Anyone else? Yes.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Patrice from Washington, D.C.
Hi.
Hi. So I am very interested in going back to school. Like him, I have not been to school to college in 20 years. And I downloaded my credits, and I found that I had 93 credits when I left.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to know from you guys' experience, how many of those credits count? Will they count tremendously? Does my life experience count? Will I have to go back for a long time? Can you help me out with that? Thank you.
So that's going to be up to the school. Oftentimes, credits only last for 10 years. However, you can explain your situation, and they do have some discrepancy on that. I can't give you a firm answer because I'm not a counselor at a college that's identifying whether your credits will transfer in or not, but I can tell you this. I ended up going back for the full term even though I had the credits that transfer in, and I am so grateful that I did because the lived experience I got as being 35 years old returning to college helped me more than any of those previous credits have. I mean, I was taking like Anthropology 101 with 18-year-olds, right? But I got so much more out of it. So whatever that is, it's your higher power's way of giving you exactly what you need. It's a personal choice.
Let-
Make sure it's accredited. Make sure it's accredited. Yeah, whatever college you go to, whatever courses you take, make sure it's accredited.
And also, you probably, those credits, you will probably get credit for them, but if you haven't been in a while, a lot of times you might have to take a prep course or something for them to let you back in since you've been out for so long, like 20 years.
Do you want to, I'll start up here. Does that work? Or do you have someone else? Mike right here. Okay, hi, Mike.
Hello, I'm Kenny. I'm from Texas.
Kenny.
So I'm back in school, and maybe this is just like a wanting some encouragement. It's worth like 'cause the burnout. I don't know. It's like I'm school full time, work full time, like chapter stuff, all of that. Worth it for all of y'all? Like, was it?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Walking across that stage, just so y'all know, this is what I graduated in. It's the first time I've worn it since then. the feeling of that accomplishment was worth every moment. Yeah,
My name's Jessie. I'm from Washington State.
all right.
So I am in school. I'm in my third quarter, but I have a couple of questions. I want to talk to you afterward because I got a lot of questions for you. But what is the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans? Can anybody answer that?
It's the
Well,
payment.
one's going to be your interest rate.
Okay.
It's the payment through the federal government. It's the payment through the federal government. One's subsidized and the other one's unsubsidized. So it depends on how much money you get and the borrower that you get it from. So,
Okay.
but either way, you have to pay it back.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
that's-
interest rate is going to be
It's just a
different too.
famous name.
Yeah.
I just know because if you go to any college, you have a financial aid counselor, and like my financial aid counselor sat with me for like an hour and a half and like went over step by step all of this stuff, like because that's their job. So that's who I would ask if I were you, just because they will like go step by step over grants, scholarships, subsidized, unsubsidized,
Everything.
federal.
It's how you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to come up here to the front?
Thank you. Katie from Kentucky. Hello. So I do know that in regards to like opening an Oxford House on college campuses, a lot of students go through more than just addiction, like the co-occurring, I guess, like gender dysmorphia, sexuality, eating disorders are very prevalent in college. So like, how do you assist people with both of those without making it too divisive with Oxford House?
So Oxford House is only housing for people that are in recovery from alcohol and drug use. If someone has a co-occurring disorder, just like anybody else, they need to be seeking their own outside counseling for those services. We are not here to provide them with oversight, supervision, or any kind of therapeutic counseling for those, other co-occurrings. So we would do it just like we do in a regular Oxford House, and we would let them know that it is very important to maintain their therapy, medication, whatever it is that they're on, but that here we're going to address the alcohol and drug use.
So I'll say this too because I also suffer from that. My Oxford House just held me accountable to make sure I was doing that outside stuff, right? And I went to treatment for my eating disorder while in an Oxford House, and I was able to keep that spot. So like, they held me accountable to that standard while also maintaining that my first thing in an Oxford House was my addiction, right? So that was all I had for that.
I'm Steve from Indiana. I'm right smack in the middle of two huge universities. Does Oxford House market towards colleges? Do they have any kind of marketing plan? Because we've only got, one is Notre Dame, the other one is Indiana University. Right, I'm right smack in the middle. We've only got 3 Oxford Houses, none deal with colleges. Do we market colleges?
So I worked in Indiana for a long time, and we have a really great relationship with IU. We do their Project Echo track, which is where we actually present on the Oxford House model to all of the providers and the professors with IU on what we offer. We have worked a little bit with Purdue University as well, just to build those relationships. At this time, we are not actually looking to expand collegiate-specific housing in Indiana because we've been focused on expanding to meet the contract goals. Talk with Josh Ogle and Sean Darling, and I'm sure that they will both be happy to get you, if you would like to do it, they'd be more than happy to let you do it and take that on. Perfect. Yeah, I'll just give him a little push in the background if you'd like to. Okay.
But also know it's not easy. It takes time. So don't give up. Just keep that communication with the university, with the recovery programs on campus. Keep being vigilant on it because mine is still going on, but it didn't start overnight. It took me a couple years for it to get up and running and stay focused. So if that's what you really want to do, because we know there's a need, don't get discouraged because it does not happen like this.
Yeah.
It just does not.
And finding those open 12-step meetings that are on campus, where the professors and the students are going, that's a huge part of it. And because, you know, they are not restricted to you being a college student to go. So, are we out of time? We are out of time. It's 9:30. If y'all have more questions, you can come up and talk to us one-on-one.